Welcome back to Buried Stories, where we peel back the layers of the world we think we understand and stare directly into the parts that we usually try to ignore. Tonight, I want to talk to you about something uncomfortable. Maybe the most haunting truth about our species. It's the way we view life and how easily, how casually we take it from others. Think about it. For all our talk about morality, justice, and compassion, humans have a strange disconnect built right into us. We know life is fragile, precious even. We know how temporary it is. We mourn when it's taken from us, and we grieve when it touches our circle. Yet somehow we made it an art of destroying it. Maybe it started long before civilization, when survival meant hunting and protecting our tribe. But somewhere along the way, the instinct to defend became an instinct to dominate. We developed weapons, then armies, then entire systems built around the idea that some lives matter and others don't. And the terrifying part, we've gotten comfortable with it. A news headline rolls by, another war, another shooting, another life cut short, and we scroll past it just like it's the weather. A statistic, a number, a thoughts and prayers kind of moment. We've normalized the very thing that we should shake our heads to the core. It's as if there's a thirst in humanity, a hunger to prove power, to settle scores, to feel control over something, even if that something is another beating heart. And the thirst never seems satisfied. History's a graveyard of lessons we still haven't learned. But here's the twist. The same species that destroys is capable of breathtaking compassion. We're capable of risking our own lives for strangers, of rebuilding what's been shattered, or choosing empathy over ego. That's the paradox. We're monsters and healers, destroyers and protectors, living right in the same skin. So maybe the real question isn't why humans devalue life. Maybe it's this. What would the world look like if we finally remembered how sacred life really is? What would it take for us to stop treating it like it's something disposable? Stay curious, stay questioning, and as always, don't let the truth stay buried.
What do you see when you're in the dark?
Welcome to Buried Stories. I'm Jeff Mercurio. Along with me tonight, Wendell Brown. Wendell, how are you?
Hey Jeff, I'm fat. My dogs don't like me, but I identify as a sexy genius, so I'm happy. Pretty good. And hey, that was a hell of an intro. That was some of your better work. Nice job.
Appreciate it. We got a guest tonight, Tyler Mercurio. Tyler, welcome to the show tonight.
Hey, thanks for having me back. And I identify as a tall, skinny white dude.
Good.
Also, yeah, great job on the intro. That was really good.
Thank you.
Welcome
Wendell,
back, Tyler. Good to have you.
Thank you very much. Very happy to be here.
Wendell, we've talked a lot about this when we just talk outside of this show about how precious life is and how quick it could get snuffed out, and just seeing others dominate people without empathy, take a life like it's nothing. So what are your thoughts on this?
Jeff, the older I get, I guess, maybe, but the value of life is my pet peeve anymore. And it's hard for somebody like me to come from some of the angles I come from, because I am a Marine Corps veteran and I drank the Kool-Aid. Not that it was I guess it was where I was at that point in life, and I needed to serve and I needed to do my part. And But it's hard to justify the loss of one single life in this world. I don't care what your cause is. I don't care if it's liberty. I don't care if it's freedom. I don't care if it's for all the goodness of the world. We all have our life. And I know that's a selfish take, and I see it as a selfish take, so I struggle with it. Because if 1 million lives are saved and one life is lost, is it worth it? Yeah, if you're not the life that's lost, it's worth it. It's worth it to everybody. Oh, that was glorious. But if you're the damn dude that lost his life, or the lady, or whatever the case may be, I think we really trivialize the fact that God put life into everything on earth. And it's hard to follow that thought, though, Jeff, to be honest. I mean, you look at cows, you look at fish, you look at things that we eat for our sustenance. And believe me, I'm not that liberal, left-wing, let's all eat vegetables. I'm not that. Maybe I should be. But the older I get, I notice that we trivialize the loss of life, and it sickens me. It truly does. The loss of any life is a big, big deal. And I look at I think, Jeff, you and I were talking about, you look at all the Army units, you look at all the Marine Corps units, all the Armed Forces units and everything, and guys going in and die. To be honest, the leaders don't give a damn. They have their objective. They want to minimize the loss of life because that's what they should do. But the loss of life is such a big deal to me now that it's older. I don't know I'm struggling with it, Jeff. I don't know how to say liberty and freedom's not worth the loss of any life. It's hard for me to say. And
that's understandable, especially as we're getting older, Wendell. Because we see that our time on this earth, we get closer to our departure, I guess. And so we take life. I'm talking, it is a precious, precious thing.
It is so precious. It is so precious. And it's coming, though. It's inevitable. So on one side, I can be really hardcore. We're all going to die, so stop crying about it. 1. 2, I have a really good friend that had some tragedy in his life with his children. And there's not, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. And and to see people trivialize the loss of a life, it's very frustrating. I guess what I would like the world to do is value every single life, value it as the utmost, every life, every single life. And then if it's lost, it is lost. It's a tragedy on whatever pursuit you were pursuing. But I don't see that. I don't see that. I see people in power okay with sending your children and my children off to war and telling us we should be proud when they die because they were pursuing what we needed to pursue. And I don't know that I buy into that Kool-Aid anymore, but I struggle with it, Jeff. I truly do, because I value life so much now. Do you ever look at that? And I don't have an empathy for a lot of things in this world. I just don't. It's not bred into me, I think. But I do feel sorry for people that are out there doing the work because some political leader has a fancy today and wants to do this. I really feel sorry for those guys. And I think maybe in the end, Jeff, it comes back to getting older You get older, I mean, I don't value life because I want to extend mine. I don't do that at all. I don't value life because, I mean, I know we're all going to die, and I've accepted that fact.
Yeah.
And I don't want my children to die, and I don't want my grandchildren to die, and I don't want my siblings to die, and my family and friends or anybody to die. But it's going to happen. And
Yeah.
what Tyler, this is kind of a lesson for you. As you get older, what sucks more than anything is that the people in your life start dying around you. And
Yeah,
there's
that's right.
nothing you can do about it. You can't stop it. You better enjoy the time you have with them while you're with them, because it is going to end. Everything's temporary in this world. And I just think as I get older, I value life more, and I just get sickened by people who cheapen it, Jeff.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Tyler,
and this
with
is
you being younger, how do you look at life and the way we value life as a human species?
uh great question. I was gonna say, from my perspective, I think a big problem is we're connected to the news 24/7 now, and we can easily get to the news at literally anytime we want. And every time you go on the news, you'll see this person died, or there was this school shooting today, or this person got stabbed. You see that every single day to the point where you're just numb to it. And like you see a person that lost their lives and you don't really think about it at all. Where back then you would get a newspaper and then that would be like the biggest story. Now it's just one story out of a million you will see in one day, and you see that every single day now. It
Yeah,
kind of gets to the
you know
point where you just don't really think much about it anymore.
what's interesting, Tyler, is that your dad and I are the media generation. So a lot of these people we've seen grow up and do their thing on the media, and now they're dying.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'll tell you what, my generation is coping with that. They're having a hard time coping with it. Ozzy Osbourne, these immortals, the immortals that you don't think will ever go.
Mm-hmm.
And it is such a, it's hard to understand. Like a lot of movies you see were filmed 10 years ago. They're released this year, but they were filmed 5-6 years ago. So these actors and actresses that we that are icons to us, they're 6 or 10 years older than they were in that last Mission Impossible movie. You understand what I mean? So
Totally.
I see it around me that that people start realizing the futility that life is going to end someday when all these stars start dying. And I think it's so interesting because it's a unique piece of history, because we're in the media age. The
Mm-hmm.
people in the past didn't have that. They didn't see, actors grow up and portray things all their life on TV, and now they're dying and they're shocked that they're dying. But the it's just an interesting dilemma, because we grew up in the media age, and it really brings home that I am going to die. If Ozzy Osbourne dies, I'm going to die. That's coming, and it, I think the sooner you accept that, the better off you are, and the more you can live your life. The sooner you accept that this is
Yeah.
temporary, enjoy it while I got it, enjoy and love the hell out of your family, love them to death, root for them, be their biggest cheerleaders, uh, you know, but stop thinking that trimming the bushes are the big deal. They're not. It's not.
Yeah, that's right.
So that brings me to another question about war. If we now, if you go back, and I take everything from a biblical standpoint, the Garden of Eden, they rebelled against God. God kicks them out of the Garden of Eden. Now comes Cain and Abel. And since sin was on the earth, Cain kills Abel. Why does he kill Abel? Because he perceived God as favoring Abel more than him. So right there is the first murder. And then ever since then, there's always been this disconnect killing other human beings. At least that's what it seems like. If you go throughout the Bible, there's wars from then on out, probably till the end of time, till Jesus comes back. But let's specifically dig into World War II. Now, when you think about World War II and just the word atrocities, what does most people think about right off the bat?
The Holocaust.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Which
mainly
was
Germany in general and Hitler.
right.
Hitler.
Right. Yeah. And that was one of those things where, I know the German troops and officers were just following orders, but they were like cattle, just get on trains, pack them back to back, load them up, take them to the work camp. You either work till you die or they put you into the gas chambers, and no empathy whatsoever. The other person that we don't think about is Stalin, too. Stalin was just as bad in Soviet Union.
Yep.
He was killing, on a mass scale with no empathy. And everybody was scared around him because you're an officer one day, he's a little paranoid, he shoots you in the back of the head the next without flinching. So that
Well,
brings me to one. Go ahead, Ty.
well, I was gonna say, well, how come in schools it's always Germany and Hitler and the Holocaust that's taught the most?
Media.
Absolutely.
Media. That's what we saw.
Yeah.
You don't think the media is powerful, Tyler? The media is the most powerful thing in
I
the
know
world.
it's powerful. I know it
Yeah.
controls pretty
Yeah,
much the whole world.
It's what you know. It's what you get all your facts from. So, yeah.
But why did the media specifically choose that and really push that?
If you don't mind, let me toss out an answer, because at that time, the enemy of our enemy was our friend. And that's how the media portrayed it. That's how the history, since the history is written by the victors, that's how it was written up. That's what I think.
Mussolini's another bastard.
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Yeah.
How do you think World War II is taught in Germany?
That's a good question. We had a German foreign exchange student when I was in high school, and we had an art project, and it was doing something, making a bust out of clay. And he did one of Adolf Hitler. Didn't think anything of it, didn't think it was offensive because he grew up in Germany and they didn't teach it as bad. So, I mean, I don't exactly know how they teach it nowadays. Wendell, do you got any insight?
Well, a couple thoughts here. And I told you guys, cut me off if I get babbling. One, Jeff, your Christian faith, that's your strength, dude. Don't lose it. Don't lose it. That is, I can see you glow when you talk biblical stuff. So, one, I just wanted to throw that out there to you. Don't lose that, Jeff. That's your strength. That's one of your strengths anyway. Two, and you talk about they drew the guy made a bust of Hitler and everybody thought it was a big deal. I get really pissed off when people I don't care if you can talk about Hitler, you can talk about the Nazis, you can talk about every bad thing. Talking about it's okay. So get off your high horse and stop saying that talking about Hitler is bad. It's not. Two, if you're a time traveler and you're going back to kill Hitler, kill this freaking Shiro Ishii also while you're back there, because he is just as bad. And I know you're going to introduce it in a minute, Jeff, but Hitler had nothing on this dude. And to tell you the truth, Hitler had nothing on Mussolini, and he had nothing on, what's the communist guy, the Russian guy you just mentioned? Stalin. Yeah. All four. Is that Stalin, Ishii, Hitler, Mussolini? All four. Take all four of them if you go back in time, Tyler. Just
Right.
all right. But why is it taught the way it is? One, the media. The Germans were the bad guys. Ending the war was killing Germany. That's that. Japan was kind of an offshoot. We always knew we could defeat them. We just wanted to tiptoe around how we defeated them. We always knew we could. There was never a concern Japan would take over America. There was a concern Germany would. And so you kill Hitler, you kill Germany, you end that war there. And that's most of that. We weren't afraid of Japan, and we weren't worried about it. They were a pain in our ass, but we weren't ever worried about the Japanese colonizing America. The Germans were something different. They took
Wait, did
territory.
Japan think they could take over America when they bombed Pearl Harbor?
No, they needed oil production. That's why they needed oil production to live. And we
Yeah.
threatened that. So, but why is Hitler taught? That is why, is because Germany could have affected America. Japan couldn't have affected America.
How do most Germans now think of Hitler? Do they think of him as this great guy that could have potentially ruled the world if he did what he was trying to do correctly? Or do they see him as like the way we do and the insane crimes he did?
Can I chime in on it, Jeff?
Chime in.
Tyler, we're going to have a podcast here in a week or two. I just actually put in for it. I actually put a reminder in it today. That we're going to interview a lady that's in her 80s that was in Nazi Germany, that used to go outside her house and have to go out to the street, and Hitler would be driving by in a parade
Wow.
down her street, and Jeff and I are going to interview her, and we just had to, I want her family members in on the interview at the same time, but or at least one of them.
Yeah.
But she told a story, what I've got so far. She would go out to her street, and Hitler would drive by in a parade, and she would be standing there like 7 years old, say, and not knowing what's going on. And her grandpa hurt her shoulder for the rest of her life. I mean, she's got a shoulder problem because her grandpa yanked her arm and put her hand up in the air to do the Heil Hitler as he went by. Now, I don't think her grandpa was evil, and don't get me wrong. And I don't think her grandpa was a fan of Hitler's. I think her grandpa knew that to get groceries and to do what they needed to do in their daily life and to not get hunted down and shot, that she needed to show that she supported Hitler. And not that she did, but she went through it that way. So you were asking how the Germans feel about it now. This is totally my opinion, could be totally off base. I think they are just as appalled by Hitler as we are, except for the fact that they had to deal with him more than we did. So when he controls whether you live or die, whether your family lives or dies, I'm a fan. 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 He's dead. Great. Let's go on. And I think that's how the Germans feel.
And that's
I
probably
think
how
that-
North Korea feels about
That's
Kim Jong-un
exactly
right now.
Yeah, absolutely. You talking about a nation of slaves, Jeff? This is just and edit this part out if you want. But I was looking in research of this, actually, looking at the Chinese and the Japanese in this time frame, 35 to 45.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, do you realize, Tyler? Do you realize what kings we are? I can sit at home on my days. I can work. All I do is work. Basically, work till my weekend, and I'm happy. And I get my weekend, right?
Yeah.
And I can do anything I think of. I can sit on my ass. I can play with my dogs that don't like me. I can call Jeff and philosophize. I can go to the beach. I can probably do a lot of other things. My wife would chime in and say I could do a lot of other things. But do you realize that the Chinese and Japanese, do you realize those people were told to do what every minute of their life?
Mm.
They never had a free minute like we have. They never have a day off. They are marching in these parades, or they're working in the fields, or somebody's telling them this and that, and not to work 8 hours in the field and be off. No, that's not part of it. These people had their entire existence dictated by somebody else. Do you realize the heaven that we live in? The heaven, and I'm not saying because it's the United States of America, it may be the time, but do you realize how blessed by God we are that we could choose what we want to do? Now, Jeff, you and I get totally ballistic when people get batshit crazy and say they're owed stuff. People aren't owed anything, but do you understand that all the people, and I could say you could probably say that before the 1900s, and maybe a little further back, 1800s. But do you realize how those people never woke up a day in their life and did what they want? They
Yeah.
never did. They never did. Do you know how many people died in this world starving and died for whatever they were accused of, or for whatever cause somebody else wanted, but they never had a minute to do what we get to do. What, like when I'm off on my weekend, I can do whatever I want, and I do. And
Yeah.
to my wife's chagrin, I do. Uh,
hmm
uh, but
You're
I was
right. It
thinking,
is funny. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, I'm just thinking, wow, what do we have to complain about? Nothing.
Right.
Yeah, and the
Politics
problem
be
is we
damned.
have it. And the problem is we have it so good right now is that it gives people time to actually come up with problems that shouldn't even be problems. Like people are
You're
now
right, Tyler.
questioning their own sexuality and thinking
You're
like,
right.
oh wait,
You're
I'm
right.
the wrong gender actually.
And God has to be appalled. God
Yeah,
has
that's
to be
right.
appalled.
Not just that, but oh my goodness, I'm oppressed.
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
mean? You got a
It's
house, you
unbelievable.
got a car, you got an iPhone, you got cake.
Now, it may not be what you like. It may not be quite the way you want. The laws may be not what you want. The behavior, the perception, whatever may not. Deal with it. Get over it. Do what you can to change it in whatever way you can, without taking a life, because like I talked about, life is precious. But beyond that, you lose credibility. As soon as you say Jeff, you bring up a great point. As soon as you say in the free world, and I'm not just saying America, I'm saying all the free world,
Yeah.
wherever countries have some kind of freedom, if you say you're oppressed, you just lost every bit of credibility you have. So
Yeah.
carry on. I'm done.
And I see so many people my age and my generation acting like Trump is the next Hitler, and they're complaining about every single thing he does, while they still have all their freedom and they can do whatever they want, and they're acting like he's causing such a problem to them personally.
Tyler, I would say with all this, what's the agency rounding up the immigrants?
Oh, ICE?
ICE.
Yeah.
With all the ICE stuff going on, if they were all rounded up and being put to death, I would agree with them. I truly would, because it's like Jeff said, it's the Nazi soldiers. It's the Japanese people doing what they want for the empire, or what they think they have to because the empire wants it. I would totally agree with them, and they would have me on their side if ICE was killing everybody they rounded up, but they're not.
Mm-hmm.
They're not. They're saying, we don't want you in our country, or if we do, you need to do it the right way, whatever the case may be. And there's myriads of stories and things. But I haven't seen them kill one person in the street. I
Yeah,
haven't
that's
seen
right,
them
me
shoot
neither.
one person in the head. I haven't seen that. So shut up. They're not Nazis.
Yeah.
Stop calling them Nazis. They're not Nazis. They're not executing people in the street. They're making them
those
very
labels,
uncomfortable. They're changing their
right.
lives. Yeah, they are. But that's because what Tyler said, because we're all so spoiled that we think a change is oppression, and it's not oppression. It's this government saying you will act this way, be this way, or you won't be here. But they're not shooting you in the head to eliminate you. So stop calling them Nazis. You lose all your credibility when you do it. They may be getting orders from somebody you don't like, somebody you don't agree on, but those fellas and ladies are not shooting people in the streets, and
Right.
because that's what the Nazis did.
But
That's what
that's
this
the other
Shiro
thing.
Ishii did.
Right. But that's what is getting old, is using the word Nazi and Hitler. That's all you hear. I mean, we're almost getting to the point where, all right, these people have no freaking idea. Spend a week over in North Korea. See if you could walk
Yeah.
outside and start
Yeah.
yelling Nazi to
Yeah.
Kim Jong-un. Go to Venezuela. See what you can get away with there. Go to any of these third world countries. Go to Mexico and demand that their government feed you and give you a car and cable and
Yeah.
stuff. See how long you last then.
Medical.
Until then, all right, back to World War II.
Wait,
All
I got
right, get
another
to
thing
it,
to
Jeff.
say.
Get to it.
Wait, I got one more thing. They say hard times create strong men, and easy times, peaceful times create soft men. And I think we have a lot of soft men right now in our country.
Yeah,
You're
you
damn
and my
right.
son
Things
would
have been
get
really
along.
Mm-hmm.
Agree. All right, so back to World War II. The first thing is always brought up is Hitler and Nazi Germany and the Holocaust. And yeah, that was atrocious what they did there. The other thing brought up is our friend Stalin, who he killed plenty of people. Now let's talk about the Japanese. And Wendell, bring us up to date on some of the Japanese that you found in your research as we were doing this podcast.
All right,
or
so
coming up with this podcast.
are we officially in our titled topic of Unit 731
Yes,
now?
let's talk about the vaunted Unit 731.
All right, if we're into it. I like I told you, Jeff, there's some things when you talk about them, you feel dirty. This is something I feel dirty talking about.
Gotcha.
I do. I'm very, all right, here we go.
Now, before we get into it, why did this make you feel dirty?
Because I had a different perception of it.
Okay.
I had a perception of the Japanese, as bad as they were. They bombed Pearl Harbor, like I said, which we didn't think was we made it a big deal, but we weren't really worried. I always thought honor and integrity was emblazoned in the Japanese culture. I always thought that. You hear the not suicide, but what is it when they stab themselves in the belly?
Seppuku, something
Kamikaze
like that.
kind of thing. Yeah, kamikaze.
Like
type
when
stuff.
a samurai loses a battle.
Yeah,
usually,
yeah. So that's where most Americans view the Japanese from. That they may do bad things and whatever, but there's always honor. Honor. That's the biggest thing. The word honor. And researching this subject, I found I was disgusted. And I also heard a quote that if God witnessed this time, he would be disgusted of their existence. And I agree. I'm disgusted of their existence for this story. And I'll go in to the ancillary things as we get along here. But I always was brought up that the Japanese were honorable people. And I'll say, I got to put my premise out, Jeff. You didn't remind me. Premise. If all the information I am thinking that I've researched is true, if it is true, then the premise is that if the given information I've researched on this is true, because I don't have the access to classified and top secret documents, I don't know some of the finality of some of it. But from what I researched, and if anybody doesn't know, Unit 731 was designated. There was a General Shiro Ishii, who I think is like Hitler, and basically wanted to do biological experiments on everybody he could, specifically the Chinese, because I always heard growing up that the Chinese and Japanese were mortal enemies, right?
Yeah.
So they would be much harsher on Chinese people than they would anybody else. But seeing this or researching this 731 stuff, just to make a long story very short, biological warfare, they determined from the highest level, Hirohito, Tojo, all of them up top, they all bought into it. They sanctioned it. They funded it. They wanted this guy, Shiro Ishii, to do biological experiments on everybody in Manchuria, basically. And most of it was Chinese. Some of it was Americans. Some of it was every other, citizen. But whoever they found. Also, as they were doing this and they were building these places to do these sick experiments, freezing people alive, freezing just their limbs, besides the basic anthrax biological weapon infiltration, they was sanctioned from the highest commands of the Japanese Empire. When I researched this, I thought, thank God
Say it again.
that somebody dropped the atomic bomb. But 39, basically 39 to 45 is the time frame you're looking at, 1939 to 45. All right. So 41 was Pearl Harbor.
Right.
This guy was a Dr. Frankenstein. And think of an evil way you could deploy anthrax, cholera, any other biological weapon. This guy thought of it. Think of everything you could do to any prisoner to make them suffer. This guy thought of it. And then it was sanctioned from the highest. He sent videos to these guys. He sent
Yes.
videos to Hirohito. He sent videos to Tojo. Anybody that had a battleship or an aircraft carrier named after him, he sent videos to them.
Yep.
And they all sanctioned it, right? Because there's two causes of it. There's two reasons for it. One, the lesser of the two, is for humanity. Let's see what the human condition can take. One was protect the empire. And Jeff, you brought up a good point, which I was getting to a minute ago, and I kind of diverted. They thought the emperor was God, and that says so much. That says that it doesn't justify any of it, but it makes you understand why they did what they did. In some sense, they employed the most ruthless torture the world has ever seen on Manchuria. Like I said, it was mostly Chinese.
Yeah.
And the world
Yeah.
overlooked it. The world overlooked
Yeah,
it.
before we get too far into, I just want to give a little bit of my backstory. And a lot of people my age, they don't know about this, and we have our own view of Japan, how they're this culture of respect, where like on trains, there's no talking, you be very quiet, and you're very respectable to each other. And they're a very clean country where no one throws their trash anywhere. And finding this out is almost like finding out someone's like dirty little secret, because this is totally different from the way we view Japan now. Like most people my age, like we never thought of them as like this country that could do something so dark and evil like this. It's just kind of crazy when you figured it out, and you don't expect it whatsoever.
Now, how did you come across this?
I came across this many years ago. I don't remember how. I think it was a video from this YouTuber, Wendell. He does many videos like this, and he did a big video on it. I'm pretty sure that's how I came across it. But yeah, check that video out. He does a great job on it. But I looked into it myself, and it's insane. He talked about a lot of things that he couldn't even really say on YouTube because it would get demonetized. That's how dark it is and how crazy these experiments were.
Now, Wendell, did you look up or did you do some research on some of these experiments they would do to people? You seen
I
it
looked at
all?
it all. It was disgusting.
Yeah, so have
Um,
I.
the like I said, we grew up with our generation, Jeff. And Tyler actually hit the word that I wanted was respect. Believe me, I love the discipline of the Japanese. I love it. I would love somebody to employ that on trains in America, subways in America. Ride the damn train, get to where you're going, get off. And don't no shenanigans on the way. I love that stuff. But that's how we grew up. We grew up with respect and honor for the Japanese, and I don't see it anymore, Jeff, after researching the story. Now, for the people, this kind of goes back into the Germany thing we talked about. Like I said, the lady that had to raise her hand because her grandpa grabbed her shoulder and tore it out of place to raise it to Hitler because they had to get their groceries this week. I understand that 90% of the Japanese population are not going along with it. They had no power in it. Whatever the empire said was what was happening. So I don't want to throw the whole Japanese culture under the bus, but their leadership was evil. The emperor was evil. The empire was evil. And if you supported the empire, if your justifications were, I'm supporting the Antichrist because I got to get my groceries this week to feed my family, I understand that. I do. I understand that. But now I'm judging you. And I totally misjudged, gave you more credit for your honor, gave you more credit for your integrity than you ever deserved. And I don't know, Jeff, what's not taught about a lot is that all these people were given immunity by the United States.
Yeah,
because
that's
they wanted the
horrifying.
research. So hell yeah, that shit's sick. Don't do it. Don't do it. Now that you did it, can we get the research for you? We'll give
Right.
you immunity.
Yeah.
That's basically what happened.
Right.
And they killed the people that built the buildings. They killed the people that built the roads. They killed the people. They killed the people that did everything that had any knowledge of the facilities. So here's all these Japanese citizens thinking they're doing what the empire wants, and then they're getting a bullet in the head because they saw the inner sanctum of the torture chamber that was being used. Now, Jeff, you talked about earlier what the sanctity of life kind of thing. I think that quote I said earlier was exactly what God was thinking. I'm disgusted with your existence. And after researching this, I'm disgusted with the empire's existence. And I've had different views over the years. You always, as an American, you always think it ended the war. I'm happy at that, but did we really need to drop the atomic bomb? If you're a time traveler, if you're going back to kill Hitler, don't forget Shiro Ishii, because that General Ishii, who was basically Hitler, who was getting all this done, it's sick. What they did to humanity, Jeff, there's no justifying it. There's no justifying it. And immunity, I don't care what research they did and what you could find from the research, immunity shouldn't have been on the table.
No, these weren't
I was really
volunteers going
disheartened with
in.
it.
Right. These weren't volunteers going in to be tested or signing up to test some new medical experiment or whatever. These people, like you said,
They were
I
like
have seen.
prisoners.
Right. You were taken out, you were stripped naked, poured outside in the cold, you're poured ice cold water over your limb just to let it freeze, and then they would beat you, and after the thing was done, they would kill you, throw you on the pile, grab a new one, and, writing all this stuff down. But also, I've come across a couple stories where they would, take pregnant people, pregnant ladies, inject them with,
HIV.
no, I don't
That
know
was
about
one of them.
HIV.
No,
Oh,
I'm
Oh,
pretty sure
yeah,
that
IVHS.
was one
cholera
of
was
them.
big.
Cholera,
Yeah, that
and
too.
then dissect them while they were still alive and dissect the child too. I mean, that's that's uh that's soulless.
How can
That's
you
soulless.
justify it? You can't
You
justify
can't. No,
it.
no.
And I don't, you know, you always come back to the Japanese trying to protect the empire. And they would do whatever it took to protect the empire. There's no protecting that. There's no there's no justifying it. So that being said, how does Japanese get the favorite status that they do today after all that, those misgivings? And like I said, I felt dirty when I researched it. I don't know how to justify it. I can't. If I was God, I would have a maximum punishment for the Japanese empire, people, whatever. And like I said, it's unjust. It's really not right of me to throw all the Japanese people in with that. But same thing with Tyler, you brought up North Korea. Is it justified for you saying North Korea is not right with all the people being the way they are? Hell, man, these people are trying to survive and protect the one life they have, which we say is so valuable. It's really beyond my justification or condemning it powers. But I tell you what, they were serving the devil. The Japanese people were serving the devil. And but what can they do? What can they do when if they don't, they're going to die? And Jeff, we run across a lot of things here where, like I said, I identify as a genius and I know all the answers. I don't know the answers to this. I don't know the answer to I'm glad they dropped the nukes to stop the damn thing, to get the Japanese back on track. I am a little disappointed in our government not prosecuting because they deserved it. Because they wanted the research, which tells you a lot about humanity.
Oh, Tyler, what did you come across during or as you were being introduced to this?
Yeah.
What are some of the experiments that shocked you?
One of them is we talked a lot about how they were tested or experimented on with like medical stuff, but they were also used for weapons testing. Like I have it pulled up right here. Human targets were used to test grenades positioned at various distances and in various positions. Flamethrowers were tested on people. Victims were also tied to stakes and used as targets to test pathogen releasing bombs, chemical weapons, shrapnel bombs with varying amounts of fragments, and explosive bombs, as well as bayonets and knives. Did I say that right? Bayonets?
Yeah, bayonets.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So
So they
tied to
weren't
stakes in
just
fields.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. So they weren't just used for like medical reasons. And I have another quote that's kind of crazy. Let me pull it up right here. Here we go. And it's just about the experiments they did in general. It says right here, some of the experiments had nothing to do with advancing the capability of germ warfare or of medicine. There is such a thing as professional curiosity. What would happen if we did such and such? What medical purpose was served by performing and studying beheadings? None at all. That was just playing around. Professional people, too, like to play. That kind of really puts into perspective of how sick some of these people are doing these things, because some of these people weren't doing this for research purposes at all. They were just having fun, and they thought messing with people's one life they have and taking that away was just a fun afternoon for them.
Right.
So,
So
like
I mean,
Wendell said, dropping that bomb after reading about what all they did, I don't think that was a bad decision whatsoever.
I agree. I agree. So Wendell, as you were researching this, I know there was a Unit 731. Now, how many different was there 731 units or was there multiple facilities? Did you read anything about that?
No, what happened was when they divided it out, they started creating units and put it in multiple places,
Yeah.
and they called it 731, Unit 731, because like the original place was razed to the ground because of they didn't want to leave any evidence of what was going
Yeah.
on.
Oh, yeah, of
But
course.
but basically the you know this kind of the Japanese, Chinese, Sino, whatever they called it, um, invasion of Manchuria. They thought they could do anything to the Chinese and they were justified. Didn't matter. They were animals. That's how they thought. And but they knew they were doing something wrong because they killed the construction workers that built all their facilities.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
they knew they were
Yeah.
doing something wrong. There's no back alley with that. They knew they were doing something wrong. They knew the world would frown at it, and they killed anybody that had any testimony about it. So it was evil. Everybody signed off on it from the very top. And Jeff, you hit it on the head. They put it as protection of the empire. Originally, they truly were just trying to protect the empire.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this stuff was sick, and there's no justification for it. I don't care how many ways you'd spin it.
All right.
But
Tyler, looks like
I,
you got something to say.
I also have this list of physical and environmental torture that some of these people also had to go through. It says prisoners were subjected to extreme methods of physical stress, including prolonged starvation and dehydration, exposure to low pressure chambers until their eyes burst, suspension upside down until death, crushing with heavy objects, electrocution, forced dehydration using hot air fans, exposure to extreme heat and burns, injected with animal blood, including horse blood, it says injection with seawater, and burning or live burial. What do you think of that?
well, I
Me?
That's
mentioned it.
I
I
don't think
mentioned it
that's the
earlier.
worst
If you
of
could
it
think
either.
of it, they did it. If
Yeah.
you could,
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
I didn't
right.
go over all the lists, but if you can think of the evil ways you could hurt somebody, they did it.
Right. I mean, that's like the demons taking God's creation and just massacring them in the most horrific way that they
Well,
could think of.
Jeff, if you were in Manchuria, you could release the demons and you'd be better off. Seriously. I mean, what's the worst thing we think of when we're talking about the end of the world kind of thing? Oh, the demons get released. Release the freaking demons over these dudes. Because these people lived in hell on earth. And, uh, Jeff you and I talked about it. Like the worst thing you could do is release the demons in the world. They couldn't do anything to you worse than these guys were doing.
Yeah, that and there was also rape and forced pregnancy. It says
Yeah.
female prisoners were forced to become pregnant for use in experiments. The hypothetical possibility of vertical transmission from mother to child of diseases, particularly syphilis, was the stated reason for the torture. Fetal
Yeah.
survival and damage to mother's reproductive organs were objects of interest. Though a large number of babies were born in captivity, there have been no accounts of any survivors of Unit 731, children included. It is suspected that the children of female prisoners were killed after birth or aborted.
Valuable
Yeah.
research, according to the American government.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. They collected it all. And then they said, we won't prosecute.
Yeah. They gave them immunity. They gave them all immunity.
Right.
Let
So
me ask you this. We're all three gods. What do you do? What are you thinking, Jeff? You're all God. You're God. What are you thinking?
okay. Flood the earth again.
Tyler, what do you
That was
think?
kind of my answer too. I was just gonna say, if I saw what was going on, I'd be looking down. I was like, wow, it looks like I gotta start over again.
That's what I said. I think, and like I said, I saw that quote. I can't really credit myself with it, but I saw it, that God was disgusted with their existence when he saw it. And that's how I was. I was
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
disgusted with it. And like I said, it changed my whole view of the Japanese society and all this honor you hear, all this
yeah.
respect you hear. Don't feed it to me. You guys proved beyond the shadow of a doubt that you can be evil like the rest of us. And get over the honor, the respect. You always see it, even in the movies, you see them depicted like somebody working for a Japanese boss. They always start, all due respect kind of thing. No respect. And you're like the rest of us. And I was really, Jeff, I was scarred by this one. The Japanese had a much higher place in my mind before I researched this.
Yeah, I noticed when my son brought it up to me, and then I brought it up to you when we were talking about something that maybe touch on that is a story that's been buried. And of course, you took it and you do great research. And then the one day you were changed by this. Yeah, this.
I was.
Yeah, I could tell you were changed by that. It's just a degradation of humankind.
And
Yeah,
how come this is something that's so buried and you have to look for it yourself to know about it?
that's a good. I mean, we're all fed the typical media line. Japanese were mean to the Chinese.
Yeah,
That's all we knew.
yeah, yep.
That's all we knew. But this Hitler had nothing on these guys. And all due respect to all the Jewish people, um, and what is sad is I think one guy drove it. I think this Ishiro guy,
Ishiro
issue.
issue.
Yeah, I think he drove it. And, um, but if the empire buys into it, then it's law. It's fine. It's fine, and
Right. Oh,
everybody supported it.
that's their God's law. Yeah.
Yeah, and it, it is up there with what Hitler did. It is truly up there. Um, the
Yeah.
inhumanity of it. But they were so set in class that even in the Japanese society there was classes, and
Yeah.
so somebody below you in class, they didn't really deserve to live as much as you, and
Exactly.
they took that class strata kind of thing to an extreme to where anybody that wasn't a pure Japanese on the side of the empire was inhuman, and it didn't matter what you did to them, and they did everything to them.
Now, aren't they still a little bit like that today as far as immigration status goes, and the way they see other other ethnicities beside Japanese?
They're pretty hardcore about immigration. Like, it's not easy to go in their country at all. They have a big list and a criteria you have to meet in order to get citizenship there.
Well, this is
I
one
see.
American has a far lower view of the Japanese society than they used to.
Gotcha.
And you can't blame a 20-year-old Japanese guy for this. He didn't have anything to do with it. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying cut out with all the honor, respect. Don't even go there. You guys had no honor. You had no respect during the time of the empire in 1941. So stop saying you had honor. You stabbed yourself in the gut. You're a fool because you stabbed yourself for an evil freaking entity. And but don't say you were honorable. You were not honorable, and now we know it.
Got any last words for this episode, Tyler?
Well, I just want to quickly talk about how Unit 731 ended and how they concealed the evidence. I have a paragraph right here about it. As the Second World
Okay.
War started to come to an end, all prisoners within the compounds were killed to conceal evidence, and there were no documented survivors. With the coming of the Red Army in August 1945, the unit had to abandon their work in haste. Ministries in Tokyo ordered the destruction of all incriminating materials, including those in Pinfane. I don't know if I said that right. Potential witnesses, such as the 300 remaining prisoners, were either gassed or fed poison, while the 600 Chinese laborers were shot. Ishii ordered every member of the group to disappear and take the secret to the grave. Potassium cyanide vials were issued for use in case the remaining personnel were captured. Skeleton crews of Ishii's Japanese troops blew up the compound in the final days of the war to destroy evidence of their activities, but many were sturdy enough to remain somewhat intact.
Each one of those people were alive, Jeff. Each one of those people were alive that you and I say that are so valuable.
So, any final words for this episode, Wendell?
Well, I hate to be so negative about it, and I apologize if I was, but when I researched this and totally gives you a different view on, like I said, the atomic bomb dropping. I don't mean to be negative about it, but I can't help it. I hate it when I'm when I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in humanity, that it could be done. And like I said, God was on a coffee break during this time, because you're right, Jeff. He needed another flood. That's really all I had to say. I apologize if I was too negative about it, but I was really disappointed in seeing how low humanity can go, although I always thought they could, but they actually went there.
Now, do you think this is taught in Japan, or do you think the Japanese also have to really dig for this?
I don't think
Yeah.
this.
No
I don't think the
way.
731 is even mentioned over
No
there.
way.
Nope.
Probably titled as misinformation. Wasn't the truth.
Yeah,
Exactly.
probably. Now, what do you think we did with all the research that we took from them when we gave them immunity? Like, did we do anything with it? Did we really learn anything from all the experiments they did? Anything actually?
I think they did pull it in, and I bet you some medical research was looked into, the like diseases part of it, but the rest, who cares what salt water does in your blood system? It's not supposed to be there. So, that kind of
There's
stuff
nothing
is
they
just
could have got from it,
no.
Tyler, that would have been worth the sacrifice.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, Tyler, you're big into anime, that's Japanese art. So you would kind of know a little bit about, I don't know, is that ever incorporated into their art?
No, no, not at all. It couldn't possibly be further away from anything art related in Japan, anime wise, video game wise. Couldn't be personally further away.
What about do the honor code and respect?
No, that's not really in it as well. Like a lot of like anime, a lot of it takes place in Japan, but the way, like the cultural norms in Japan don't really translate to anime for the most part.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to do more research on Unit 731, there's plenty of places to go to find some of what this atrocity, what they did. Maybe it's your first time of ever hearing Unit 731. Think of Dr. Moreau's Island, all the experimentation on humans that can possibly take place. But if you have a comment, please leave a comment below. I thank you for watching Buried Stories. And if you have a story, please reach out to us at buriedstories74@gmail.com. And until next time, thank you.